Democratic nominee, it's weird saying that, Democratic nominee for Jackson County Legislature in District 5, which encompasses all of Blue Springs, just a tiny bit of Lee Summit, and a tiny bit of Independence, going east into the rural areas. We talked about knockout Saturdays over at the dojo. Please, you all, that is so incredibly important. Jordan, he hit on it. That's the only way we're going to flip these seats, and we need to flip I've been saying, if one person wins, we all should win. Because the momentum is indeed on our side. And what we've been saying, and I see Troy's team back there, they're wearing it. We all still need to get those no on 4 and 5 buttons. And whenever we're going out talking to people, remind them. Because guess what? It's not over.
No.
It's not over. No. So I encourage you, continue to support all your candidates, and let's make sure that every single one of us wins to make a change, not only in Jackson County, but in the state of Missouri at large. We have John Peno back here, who is running for House District over in Cass County. John, what House District are you running for? 55. None of us can vote for him. None of us can vote for him. But he can take $2, $3, $5 of your money.
Yeah.
Now, we know we are asking a lot. We're asking a lot. Republicans are always going to outspend us. But they will never outwork us. Yeah. Woo! They will never outwork us. So with that in mind, please let's support all of our candidates. Now let me get to the task at hand before Scott gives me the stink eye. Good evening, everyone. There are moments in life of a community when the status quo is no longer enough. Moments that demand leadership grounded not in politics as usual, but in clear conviction, unwavering ethics, and genuine accountability to the people. Tonight, we stand at one of those defining moments for Jackson County. To know Stacy Lake is to know someone who does not shy away from the hard questions or do the heavy lifting. As a person, she is principled, fiercely dedicated, and motivated by a deep sense of service. She listens with empathy, acts with purpose, and approaches public service with the understanding that every decision made at the county level directly affects the homes, wallets, and daily lives of working families across our communities. Right now, our county needs a leader who understands what real transparency looks like, not someone who's been indicted. We need someone who believes that public trust is earned through honest governance, open doors, and the courage to do what is right, even when it's difficult. Stacy is a leader. Her background, her sharp intellect, and her steadfast moral compass makes her not just qualified, but the absolute right person for this job at this crucial hour. This is her moment to step forward and to showcase what ethical leadership truly looks like. It is her moment to prove that county government can and will be responsible, responsive, and accountable to every single taxpayer and resident from east to west. She is ready to lead with integrity, to restore trust, and to build a stronger Jackson County for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to some, most of all of you already know her, our next Jackson County executive, Ms.
Good evening, everyone. I first want to say thank you so much for trusting me to become your Democratic nominee for Jackson County Executive.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you've heard this story multiple times, but in 2019, I honestly had no aspirations of ever becoming a politician. I was working as an attorney, just trying to, make my firm survive the next year, but then the property tax crisis happened in 2019, which was the first time I actually noticed the issue stemming from Jackson County government. And that is the reason why I am here today. And I say that because it's those moments of crisis where people can, either dwell in the sorrow of it all or stand up and rise. And I'm reminding people of my journey because that is what we are seeing here today. Because our results in August in Jackson County, we need to be celebrating that more, more proudly than we are doing right now. And I apologize for coming here a little bit late, but I just want to go over some of these results because this is truly magnificent. So, for instance, in the Jackson County primary, the Democratic primary for the Jackson County executive race, we had 87,000 Democratic ballots casted, okay? Do you know how many Republican ballots were casted? 25,000 ballots. Let me compare this with 2022, because I was there in 2022 when I first ran for Jackson County Executive. We had 63,000 Democratic ballots casted and 40,000 Republican ballots casted in the primaries that year. So, y'all, we are succeeding and we have to keep up this momentum. But as Jordan has stated before, we cannot ease up because when it comes to the races in the Congressional District 4 and 5, that's where they need our help the most. And please tell me if you guys have gone over these numbers, but I'm going to go over them quickly. When it came to Mayo Cleaver's race, 55,000 Democratic ballots were casted, and 77,500 Republican ballots were casted. And then when it comes to Jordan's race, 65,000 total Democratic ballots were casted, and 91,000 Republican ballots were casted, okay? So that is why it is so critical for you to reach out to your friends, to your family members, to talk about these issues. Don't necessarily reach out to the people that you know that are Republicans. Reach out to the people you know who really don't pay that much attention to politics, who really haven't voted in the last several primaries, and tell them about these people. Show them Jordan's video. Tell them about Mayo Cleaver. Tell them about me. Have functions at your house to bring this political discussion because there's a moment happening here where we are really seizing control back, not only locally, but statewide. And I believe, I honestly believe we are not only just going to kill the super majority in the Missouri state government, but we have a chance to possibly overcome and control the Missouri state government.
Yes.
But I believe, especially with the results that we had in August, okay? Now, about me and my race. I ran on, it was two dreams, but it's really one. It was to reform and modernize the Jackson County government so it finally works for our residents' needs. Many of you, I don't know how many of you know my background, but before I became an attorney, I was a Chinese translator and I lived in Asia for about 3 years. But this was a long time ago, folks. I've been an attorney for 12 years. I don't want to go about how old I am, but it's just a long time ago, folks. But I can tell you, when I lived in Asia, the amount of, the development of these cities in Asia far surpassed the development in Jackson County today. So when I was there in 2007, it was more developed, these cities were more developed than Jackson County is today. And that isn't because they had more money than us, because we all know that America is the richest nation in the world. It's because they actually invested
Yep.
into their communities.
Yep.
And with the property tax crisis, and when I did the investigation on Jackson County government and realized that for decades, our county government hasn't been investing in us,
Yep.
I felt sick to my stomach. Because first, I thought, wait, hold on a minute. The leadership isn't really working for the people. They're kind of working for their own pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, wait a minute, let me go out to the community and try to convince people to stand up for the community, to fight for us. 2019 was a different year, y'all, but when I went out to the community, no one was willing to challenge Frank White at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It took me coming to the realization that I needed to stand up and fight for this community. And after I did that, I went out to the Democratic community and I found other people that were also hearing the call, being like, hey, why don't I stand up for the community and fight these Republicans or fight these other people to make our community a better place? And I think that the results that we're seeing in August is a result of that standing up and speaking out against our current living situation in Jackson County. Now, when I'm talking about these reforms, I'm talking about my Jackson plan, which I know I have repeated a multitude of times, but I'm going to repeat it again because this is my guiding light on how we are going to truly reform and modernize Jackson County government so that we are competitive, not just statewide, but nationwide. The J stands for Justice System Reform. Now, let me see it, raise your hands. Do you guys know what's going on in the jail right now? Does anybody know? Because I'm about to tell you guys some facts that are just going to disappoint you, but I have to let you guys know. So, we just opened up a jail in Jackson County. Spent $300 million to open up a brand new jail in April. To this day, 2 people have already died in the jail. And there's over 5 people that I heard that have been sent to the ICU for fentanyl overdose.
Oh,
What?
Fentanyl overdose. How does one overdose on fentanyl while they're in the jail?
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. But besides that, we've heard issues going on with the maintenance, how the HVAC systems aren't working, how the water isn't properly working in the jail, how right now 70 prisoners are sharing one mop bucket, okay? That is utterly unacceptable because even if you're in prison, you still have the right to be treated as a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you spell
And this
Jordan's
is what
last
I'm
name?
talking about with leadership.
How you spell Jordan's
Being
last
concerned
name?
about issues that are affecting our everyday citizen. As your next Jackson County executive, I'm going to do everything in my power to not only make sure that the jail is being fixed, because I'm telling you, I'm going to investigate the jail and make sure that it is ADA compliant and that every prisoner is being treated humanely. But I'm also going to modernize our justice system in Jackson County to make sure that it's properly that every citizen has proper access to our justice system. Now, the A in the Jackson plan is what's scaring a lot of people right now, which stands for auditing Jackson County government, okay? Auditing Jackson County government. Our county books have been basically broken for decades. Does anybody here remember Nicole Galloway? She was the last democratically elected state auditor before we had the whole reg turnover in Missouri. She conducted an audit of Jackson County government in 2020 and gave Jackson County government the lowest rating possible, which was a poor rating. And she found a lot of crazy findings, but the biggest one was that our budget was off by $100 million 4 years. And this wasn't, we were overspending by $100 million. This was that we had $100 million sitting in our bank accounts for years, and we just didn't do it. We just didn't notice it because of this accounting error. okay?
Oh, wow.
Let's talk about this accounting error, okay? One person that was working at Jackson County government at the time, his name was Hugh Troy Thomas, and he was removed after this accounting error was discovered, okay? He was, at the time, the chief financial officer of Jackson County government. Now, one good thing I always say that Fred White did was removing him, because if your office is responsible for a $100 million accounting error, there should be some consequences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But in 2023, when the Jackson County legislature got sworn in, the first thing they did was they appointed Hugh Troy Thomas as the county auditor of Jackson County government, okay? So he's been our county auditor up until this day. And we have seen the ramifications of that, folks, with, you know, the alleged bribery scandal, which I'm not going to go into,
Yeah.
but I'll go into it a little bit, okay? A little bit, just because it is all connected, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But the person that, and this is all allegations, that Manny was talking about, that offered him this alleged bribe was Calvin Williford, okay? Now, Calvin Williford, he works in the county auditor's office as well. But let me talk a little bit about Calvin Williford, okay? So, does anybody here know about Calvin Williford?
No.
Let me tell you a little bit about the history of Calvin Williford. So, Mike Sanders was our
Yep,
county
I remember.
executive before Frank White,
Yep.
okay? And Mike Sanders went to prison
Yep.
for campaign finance fraud for about 2 years. The other person that also went to prison with him for the same allegations stemming from this campaign finance fraud was Calvin Williford. Okay? Now, this all happened in 2017 through 2019, okay? So, after the prison happened, you know, he is not in government anymore. 2023, when the new Jackson County legislature gets sworn in, Donna Payton appoints Calvin Williford as her legislative aide, okay? And after a year, he moves to become Jackson County legislator Vanessa Husky's legislative aide. And then after that, he becomes an employee in the county auditor's office, okay? And so, when I talk about auditing Jackson County government, I'm talking about performing the first deep-scale audit of every single department of Jackson County government. And you know which department I'm going to start first? The county auditor's office. Okay? The county auditor's office.
Yes.
And look, this audit is going to take, hopefully it takes a year. It might take over a year. But it's going to be public, transparent, so that we can finally restore the trust in this county.
Yeah.
Now, let me go to C, which is county-wide infrastructure improvements. You guys, our county buildings are terrible. I don't know if you really do know, but for instance, the Jackson County Courthouse,
Yes.
you can't even use the front steps.
Yep.
The majority of our county-owned buildings in Jackson County are not even ADA compliant. And this is because there hasn't been a focus in using our taxpayer dollars to maintain our buildings because they want to spend them in other arenas. That's going to stop. As your next Jackson County executive, I'm going to make sure that we stop deferring our maintenance and that we make making every single one of our county buildings ADA compliant and a priority. Now for K is keeping property taxes affordable. Okay, that is my promise that we will never, and I repeat, never have another property tax crisis again. I'm going to not only audit the assessment department, but I'm going to reform the assessment department to make sure that our assessors are complying with Missouri state law, which they haven't been for the past several years. That's how we got here in the first place. But, oh man, there's something else I want to say about the assessment department that I recently found out, but I'll think about it later. But during my first 100 days, I'm going to appoint an assessor because let me just tell you guys, because this is your update on Jackson County government, okay? Right now, we haven't had an assessor in over 300 days, okay? Our current interim county executive states that he's the assessor, okay?
Oh,
Which
jeez.
I'm like, okay, well, you can be the assessor. But one thing that a lot of people also don't know, our director of collections, so we have a collections department. He's the person that goes out and collects the taxes. He's also gone, okay? So right now, we do not have a director of assessment or a director of collections, right?
Yeah.
Which is horrible because one of the things that I'm telling people, Jackson County Executive, our number one function is to make sure that we collect the taxes of the county so that we can then apply to the services in our county. And currently, we don't have a director of assessment that's actually going out and assessing the properties, and we do not have a director of collections whose responsibility is to collect the taxes, right? So in the first 100 days, I'm going to make sure that we fill these seats and that our assessment department is in our collections department is operating properly.
Yeah.
Now, supporting our small business community. I've been a small business owner for 8 years, and I can tell you this personally, is that our local government doesn't support us.
Nope.
Our local government sometimes seems like they're harming us, and that is going to change. I'm going to prioritize small businesses when it comes to giving out government contracts, but I really do want to start a fund to help grow small businesses in Jackson County, because the small businesses are truly the businesses that provide the uniqueness to our county, and we have to support that. A nice statistic I always remind people is $1 invested into a small business is $5 back to the community, right? So we need to do more to uplift our small businesses, and that's what I'm going to do as your next Jackson County executive. Now, O stands for Ownership Initiative for Single-Family Households, which is my promise to make single-family home ownership attainable for our future generations. Folks, our single-family homes are under attack.
Yep.
I live in Kansas City in a neighborhood called Hyde Park, and I can tell you that for the past 10 years, corporations have been coming into our neighborhoods and just buying up our single-family households. And we had to pass an ordinance to help prevent that practice, because what was happening is these single-family houses were either sitting empty or being rented out as Airbnbs, which caused chaos in some of our neighborhoods, right? But let me tell you also something else, and this also goes back to the assessment issue. So in 2017, our Jackson County legislature got into a contract with this company called Tyler Technologies. And eventually, they got into a contract with Tyler Technologies to give them $17.9 million, okay, to take out half of the assessment department's function out of Jackson County government, which is doing the computerized mass appraisals, okay, and give it to Tyler Technologies, okay? Does anybody know who Tyler Technologies is owned by?
No.
Black Rock Corporation, okay? Black Rock Corporation. We are literally doing, or we have the functions of, so basically Tyler Technologies, they're the ones that basically tell people what their assessed values are. So it sets what your property taxes are. And we handed that over to a corporation that is controlled by Black Rock Corporation that has a vested interest in making sure that our property values increase so that their shareholders can come in and buy our single-family households, okay? I'm going to sever that relationship with Tyler Technologies as your next Jackson County. Fully in-house to make sure that our Jackson County employees are the ones that are providing the assessment values, but more importantly, that our data is protected in Jackson County, like in Jackson County. Now, finally, the N stands for Neighbor to Neighbor Transportation Plan, which is my promise to create the first county-wide public transportation system in Jackson County.
Yes.
The bus transit line.
Yep.
Folks, it is a shame and a scandal that our public transportation system was better in the 90s than it was today.
Yep.
And it is a shame and a scandal that our public transportation system was better in the 1950s than it was in the 1990s, okay? At this moment, we are going to change. We are going to go forward, and we are going to craft our own legacy into supporting public transportation in Jackson County.
Yeah.
We are
Yes.
no longer going to sit there and wait for other entities, other, outside counties to give us the green light to invest in our county. We are going to do the research, we are going to make the plan, and we are going to build the first rapid bus transit line to make sure that we have affordable, fast, and convenient public transportation in Jackson County. And I promise you, this will happen in the next 10 to 12 years. And let me explain to you what I mean by the rapid bus transit line. Because like I said, me spending time in Asia completely revolutionized my thought when it came to public transportation. When I'm talking about a rapid bus transit line, I'm not talking about being on a bus with 70 stops, right? I'm talking about 4 lines in Jackson County. One would go from Kansas City to Oak Grove. The other one would go to Green Valley. The other one would go from Kansas City to Lone Jack. The other one would go from Kansas City to Martin City. And then there would be a diagonal line going from Grandview to Independence, okay? That would only have 7 to 8 stops per 20 to 25 mile per hour line. This would make it possible for a person to go from Kansas City to Lone Jack faster using the rapid bus transit line than actually driving their vehicle. This will be the first step in our history that we will have a modernized public transportation system where people in some places won't actually have to utilize a car to go from city to city. And I promise you, this will happen as when I become your next Jackson County executive. But one last thing I want to discuss is the Democratic cause, okay? I promise you that as your next Jackson County executive, I'm going to champion the Democratic cause in Jackson County because I believe that Jackson County is truly the key to turn Missouri blue once again.
Yep.
I have plans to turn Jackson County back to where it was in the 90s, when it was truly a Democratic stronghold, when all of our seats were Democratic. Because the thing is, if Jackson County is not the Democratic stronghold, then we won't be able to help turn Platte County, Cass County, or Clay County back to the Democratic strongholds that they once were. And the way that I plan to do this is I'm going to go out, especially during this election year, I'm going to go out with Antoine, I'm going to go out with Troy, I'm going to go out with, where's Michael Scott?
Back here.
Yes, I'm going out with Michael.
Yeah.
What's up?
We are going to hit the places that haven't been touched by Jackson County Democrats for years, and actually tell them that there are people here that are interested in investing in the community and making sure that your community actually changes for the better. And that's what we have to do to turn this county blue again. I mean, I know it's already blue, but a true Democratic stronghold once again. So that is what I promise to do as your next Jackson County executive. Thank you so much for inviting me.